Hello everybody, this is your main man Keith here from Keith Plays PS4 927. Happy Sunday morning to all my awesome viewers on this awesome channel. We are in Game 4 of the Western Conference first round playoffs for our 0001 Los Angeles Lakers. And we have won 3 games over the 97-98 Utah Jazz. So if we win one more episode, which will be today's episode, we will advance on to the Western Conference semifinals, and we could either likely play against the 07-08 Denver Nuggets, the 07-08 Houston Rockets, or possibly the 13-14 Los Angeles Clippers. So I'm really excited for the NBA Finals to come. We will probably play against the 0001 Philadelphia 76ers to make it a 21-year rematch among those two teams that have met in the finals 3 months before I was born. I was born September the 27th of 2001, so I didn't watch any of it. So without a further ado, we'll show you the uniforms and we'll see you into tip-off. Alright, so the Los Angeles Lakers are going to be wearing their classic purple uniforms from 1999 through 2018. Meanwhile, for the Utah Jazz, they're going to be wearing their classic home 96 through 2004 uniforms at the Delta Center. So without a further ado, we'll see into tip-off. Here we are in the Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it appears that the LA Lakers have won the tip-off, so Kobe Bryant's going to pass over to Rick Fox, and we hand it off to the Utah Jazz. So now it is Karl Malone making the dunk there, the mailman, as they used to call him in the 90s. So now Kobe Bryant, the Lower Merion High School product, makes that three from behind the arc, and it is now 3-2. And it is Jeff Hornacek with the possession of the basketball. And Kobe Bryant picks up the steal. He's going to pass it over to Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaq makes a dunk. It is now 5-2 here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So now John Stockton with the possession, going to pass it over to Jeff Hornacek. And Kobe Bryant making that steal. And he is going to go in the paint and make a one-handed dunk in the paint. So it's now going to be a 7-2 LA Lakers lead. So now it is John Stockton losing the basketball, picking it back up for the Jazz. And Jeff Hornacek getting that in the paint. And now Shaquille O'Neal going to pass it over to Kobe Bryant. And then it is Derek Fisher going to drill a three for the Lakers, and it's now going to be 10-4. So now Byron Russell's going to pass it over to John Stockton, and Stockton going to pass it over to Byron Russell, and it is Byron Russell going to pass it over to John Stockton. So Stockton makes a spin move there, going to pass it over to Greg Ostertag for a dunk. So it's now going to be 10-6. So Kobe Bryant going to pass it over to Derek Fisher. He's going to go up in the paint, gets it in there for 2, and it is now 12-6 here at the Delta Center in the Utah State capital of Salt Lake City, which was the host of the 2002 Winter Olympics, by the way. And Kobe Bryant is going to make a steal. He is going to make another dunk for the Lakers, and it is now going to be 14-6. John Stockton with the possession of the basketball. Derek Fisher makes the steal, and Bryant with the dunk. It is now 16-6. So the Lakers on the road leading by 10. And it is John Stockton thinking, where is he going to shoot this at? Or will he just go up in the paint? Going to pass it over to Malone. And Malone gets it in there. And both teams are at 100% in field goals right now. So Shaquille O'Neal, he is actually going to go shoot it in for 2. So it's now 18-8. Byron Russell going to pass it over to Jeff Hornacek. And Hornacek loses the basketball. Shaquille O'Neal passing it over to Bryant. And Shaquille O'Neal picks up the assist. The Jazz take a timeout. We're actually going to take a break. Alright, now Ty Lue is going to pass it over to Kobe Bryant. So now Kobe's going to get this one in for 2, and it's now 26-14. Antoine Carr going to pass it over to John Stockton. During the break, he did have 2 threes. So now Kobe Bryant, there's a foul. It's on Antoine Carr. And there are 21.9 seconds to go. There are no shot clock left in the first quarter. So now it is going to be Moore with the possession. And we have picked up a steal, but evidently we had gone past the line. So this means it's a backcourt and they would have possession. So now 13 seconds to go. Utah gonna go in the paint, gonna pass to Malone, and then they're gonna pass it over to Karl Malone, gets that in there, and it's now going to be 29-16. Brian Shaw makes a 3 to end the first quarter, a buzzer beater, and it is now 32-16, so we're leading this by half. And 32 divided by 2 does equal 16. Alright, the Utah Jazz have possession to begin the second quarter. 8 steals for the Lakers and 14 fast break points. So now Karl Malone's going to pass it over to Moore. And Shaquille O'Neal trying to make that steal. And it is Morris with the possession of the basketball. So there are 2 seconds. Now it's 24 on the shot clock. So now Robert Horry is going to pass it over to Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaq gets it in. So it's now 34-18. 6 points for him today. 3 for 3 in field goals. So that's something to accomplish there. So now Moore is going to pass it over to Karl Malone, and then Moore is going to pass it over to Shannon Anderson. So now it is Brian Shaw who made that buzzer beater to end the first quarter, and now they're going to use Shannon Anderson, going to pass it over, and Anderson's going to get that assist, so it's now 34-20. Shaq is going to pass over to Brian Shaw, and then Kobe Bryant going to step back, get this one in for 2, and it's now 36-20. Kobe Bryant with 20 points in the first quarter, and he was 9 for 9 in field goals, so he did a really phenomenal job. And he had like 5 steals rather, and they're going to pass it over to Moore, and I thought that was going to be a block, but the Lakers take a timeout. Alright, so now Derek Fisher is going to pass it over to Ron Harper. He was a member of the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls team. He makes that dunk, and it's now 38-22. The Lakers are up by 16 points, so what will the Utah Jazz do? Evidently, they're going to dribble the basketball, and it is Derek Fisher making that steal. We're going to pass it over to Mark Madsen, and we give it to Jeff Hornacek and the Utah Jazz. So Utah gets that in for 2, and it's now going to be 38-24. Ron Harper going to pass it over to Derek Fisher. So now Derek Fisher gets the layup in the paint, and it's now 40-24. And it is Greg Ostertag going to pass it over to Hornacek. So now looks like they're going to do a spin move. They're probably going to go in the paint and probably score. But the mailman, Karl Malone, gets that in there, and it's now 40-26. Ron Harper going to pass it over to Derek Fisher. And we are going to use a 3 for Derek Fisher. Will he actually get it in from behind the arc? Yes, he will. 43-26 with 1:15 to go. And now it is Derek Fisher going to make the layup happen with his right hand. And it's now 45-25. Hot start for Derek Fisher. 12 points today. And they lose the basketball. They pick it back up, evidently. And Byron Russell makes that 3 happen. And it's now 45-29. So we're going to intercept that off to the Jazz. Once added, that's our biggest mistake of the game today. But Malone passes it over to Hornacek. Gets that in. And it is now 45-31. So now It's Ron Harper's opportunity to get that in. There is a foul. Greg Ostertag, the shooting foul. And there are 37.7 seconds to go. So now Harper gets it in there. And there's almost 30 seconds to go. We got like half a minute. And John Stockton losing the basketball. And we're going to pass it over to the current Los Angeles Clippers head coach, Tyronn Lue. He was also the Cleveland Cavaliers head coach at one point. And Lue misses that first free-throw opportunity. Will he actually get it in for the second one? Yes, he will, and it's now 49-31. So now Utah losing the basketball. We're going to pass it over to Devian George and then Rick Fox. Who should I really get this to? I'm going to use probably Robert Horry and then Rick Fox, Mark Madsen. Going to use Devian George for a three. And we're actually going to put in Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal for the second half. So Lakers are going to be up by 21. John Stockton, will he get that half-court three? No, he will not. And this is halftime, so the Lakers are up by 21. Kobe Bryant is leading in scoring, by the way. All right, Karl Malone with the possession of the basketball. And we have done some depth chart changes for the beginning of the third. Shaquille O'Neal making that steal. Is he actually going to get points off it? Karl Malone, there's a foul on Malone, so this means Shaquille O'Neal's going to go to the free-throw line. He actually does get it in there, so it's now a 24-point lead for the LA Lakers. So now John Stockton lost possession of the basketball. Then it was Greg Ostertag who had picked it up, and it is Kobe Bryant going to pass it over to Shaquille O'Neal. And Shaq is going to get this one in the paint. So it's now 57-31. And it is John Stockton losing the basketball. And we make another mistake again. A backcourt violation after making a steal. I mean, this 2000-2001 Lakers team, they are a really fast break scoring points team. And Kobe is going to make a steal. He has now 24 points on the day. He had 22 in the first half with 2 assists at least. So now he's the main powerhouse of this Lakers team. And Shaquille O'Neal alongside with Derek Fisher. So Kobe's going to get the assist there. It's now 61-31. So the Lakers are leading on the road by 30 points. And it is John Stockton going to pass it over to Jeff Hornacek. And there's a foul, legal screening, and it is on Karl Malone. Finally, it is our possession. So now, Kobe Bryant, what is he going to do? Probably make that three. He is going to make that three fly. He's only had 1 3 in the first half. And now it is Moore with the possession of the basketball. So now Moore has possession, and Kobe Bryant's going to make a steal. He's going to pass it over to Ron Harper. So Ron Harper gets it in there for 2, and it's now 66-31. So we're up by 35 points on the road. And Kobe might probably be the player of the game, which I will explain the numbers after the game, by the way. I mean, he's had that performance ever since game 1. And it's not just an individual thing, it's a team thing. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal also did win player of the game for game 2 of the Western Conference first round. And it is Brian Shaw. We're going to actually pass it over to Horace Grant. He is the uncle of Jeremy Grant, who currently plays with the Detroit Pistons. And from what I understand, Horace Grant has a twin brother. And now Grant is going to pass it off to Brian Shaw. So Horace Grant will pick up the assist. And Brian Shaw was the contributor in that first quarter buzzer beater because he, with like 1.9 seconds to go, he wanted to make that 3 happen, and it actually went in. So we're going to pass it over to Brian Shaw once at it. gets it in for 2, and it's now 72-33. The Jazz are down by 41. And this Los Angeles Lakers team is a really fast scoring team. So you got to understand one way or another that it's the superstars that are playing against each other. And that's how entertaining NBA can be, because heating up in the postseason, lots of people like to watch when the finals come on and stuff. So now, 59 seconds to go, Mark Madsen going to use Rick Fox, going to use some Devian George, and then might use some Tyronn Lue, and then Horace Grant. We made some good ball movement here in this, so it's now 74-35, 47 seconds to go in the third quarter. We're actually going to take a break. All right, John Stockton hits a 3, and it is now 74-43, so we are going to take a timeout to change up our depth chart to start off for the fourth quarter. All right, it is now 74-43. Kobe Bryant pulling up a 3 from behind the arc. It is now going to be 77-43, and it's now John Stockton losing the basketball, picking it back up for the Jazz, and it is Stockton missing that. Shaq picks up that rebound for the Lakers, and he is going to get this one in before the buzzer beater hits 0. He actually makes it in. So in the first and third quarters of this episode, we have had a buzzer beater go in before the quarter ending. So that's something very interesting to see along the lines. All right, your State Farm assist of the game is coming right up. So it is Brian Shaw who made that in for 3. And I think that must have been his only 3 of the game, if I'm not mistaken. But now we are on the court, 79-43. We're going to pass it over to Shaquille O'Neal, making that nice spin move. Gets it in for 2, and it's now 81-43. And the Lakers are up by 38 points. So it looks like that they're going to pass it over to Jeff Hornacek. And then Hornacek, where is he going to take this to? And it's Isaiah Rider picking up the steal, and it's now Shaquille O'Neal getting this one in the paint for 2, and it's now 83-43. So this LA Lakers team has been really dominating pretty well in this episode. But we're going to pass it over to Shaquille O'Neal for another dunk. So it's 22 steals for the Lakers today. So there's no doubt in my mind that the Lakers, they are going to advance to the next round. So Shaquille O'Neal going to make a back-to-back dunk, and it's now 87-43. 21 points for him today, 7 from mid-range. So for every 3 points he's made, at least one of them had to have been mid-range. So that's something interesting to see along the lines. So now Shaquille O'Neal making the steal. So now Shaq, he's going to go up in the paint, makes the dunk there happen. And it's now 89-43. So the Lakers, they're off to a really hot start. And they could have if they keep up this great performance like this, making steals, making fast break points along the lines, they could wind up being NBA champions for real. And there's 2 minutes and 23 seconds to go. But the Jazz don't really have a lot of time to catch up and make as much points to tie up with the Los Angeles Lakers. So now we got Kobe on the court. He's going to make a 3. So if they make this 3 happen, the Lakers are going to lead this by half. And it's now 92-46. So 92 divided by 2 does equal to 46. So we're going to pass it over to Isaiah Rider, makes that dunk, and it's now 94-46. So if we make another 2 points, then we'd be leading this one off by 50. We're going to pass it over to Ron Harper, and then Mark Madsen, and then Shaquille O'Neal gets it in for 2, and it's now 96-46. So we're up by 50. And they're going to pass it over to Byron Russell, and then over to Vogue, and then going to use some Antoine Carr. So Antoine Carr is going to go in the paint, gets it in there for 2, and it's now 96-48. So our bench is outscoring the 97-98 bench by at least 8 points. So Kobe makes that dunk. It's now 98-48. So if we score one more time, then we will have at least 100 points in the game. And most of our W's in the Classic Team Series have really been at least scored 100 points or more, team points rather. We're going to pass it over to Jeff Hornacek. And there are 2 seconds to go on the shot clock. And they were, at least he was lucky enough to shoot it in, because that could have been a violation. 45 seconds to go. And they do a layup in there, so it's now 40.1 seconds to go. Bryant going to pass it over to Ron Harper, so Kobe Bryant's going to pick up the assist. And there is not a whole lot of action left to go in this episode. So this means that the Los Angeles Lakers have officially swept the Utah Jazz. And I don't think they're going to score much points now, since there's not a whole lot of time left. And Ostertag picks it up. We are taking a timeout. Kobe Bryant, your player of the game. I'm not going to film the rest of the gameplay action because there's only 10 seconds left, and I just don't have enough time on my camera to do the statistics. Kobe Bryant, 35 points, 7 assists, 10 steals, 7 dunks on the day for him. Shaquille O'Neal, 27 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists there, 5 steals on the day, 4 dunks. Derek Fisher, 12 points in all. Karl Malone had 11 points, 1 assist, 1 dunk there. John Stockton, he had 9 points, 5 assists, 3 for 4 from behind the arc, and that wraps it up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next round.